Tony Romo makes $18 million a year at CBS talking about football. He lost a playoff game holding one hold. Being an NFL holder means you touch the ball for 0.7 seconds 5 times per game. Mess up once, you're unemployed forever, and 70,000 people want you dead. There are 32 holders in the NFL. You don't know a single one. Not one. They don't have jerseys, they don't have stats, they don't have names during introductions. They're backup quarterbacks or punters doing a second job that nobody notices until they then everybody knows their name. Tony Romo, January 6, 2007, Cowboys versus Seahawks, playoff game. 19 seconds left, 19-yard field goal to win. The snap is perfect, Romo bobbles the hold. Game over, season over, Cowboys eliminated. That was 18 years ago. People still talk about it. Here's what a holder does in 0.7 seconds. Catch a ball thrown backwards at 40 miles per hour. Spin it so laces face away. Kickers are psychotic about this. Place it at exactly the right angle. Hold it with the correct pressure. Keep your hand there while the foot swings 2 inches from your fingers. 0.7 seconds. Mess up any part, miss kick, your fault. Not the kicker's, yours. The kicker makes $4 million. You make backup quarterback money to do 2 jobs and get blamed for his misses. 90% of holders are backup quarterbacks. You know what that means? You're already depressed about not playing. Now you have to help someone else score points while you watch from your knees in the dirt. Jordan Love was a holder before becoming a starter. 3 years of holding for kicks, watching Rodgers, holding for kicks, watching Rodgers. One bad hold during those 3 years? Can't even hold a football properly. How can he play QB? Your backup job has a backup job. And the backup job can end your main job. Ace Ventura made it a joke. Ray Finkel, kicker misses, blames the holder, goes insane. That's not comedy, that's documentary. Kickers actually blame holders, publicly. Mike Vanderjagt, most accurate kicker in NFL history, once said, "I don't miss, check the hold." Check the hold. The holder was Peyton Manning's backup. He never held again. One quote, career over. Not because he was bad, because the kicker needed someone to blame. Kickers demand laces facing away. Demand it. You have 0.7 seconds to catch, spin, place, and hold. If those laces are even slightly visible, missed kick equals your fault. Laces were out. Blair Walsh, 2015 playoffs. Vikings versus Seahawks. 27-yard field goal. Chip shot to win the playoff game. Misses wide left. The holder, Jeff Locke. Punter. Laces were perfect. Hold was perfect. Walsh still blamed the hold. Publicly, in interviews. Locke never held for Walsh again. Holders don't have statistics. No Pro Bowls, no All-Pros, no records. You could hold for 1,000 straight perfect kicks. Nobody tracks it. But miss one? ESPN has a stat. Failed holds. Not successful holds, failed holds. Your only statistic is failure. Brad Wing held for 342 consecutive kicks without an error. His Wikipedia page mentions the one he botched. 342 perfect. One mistake. Guess which one defines him? Back to Tony Romo. $127 million career earnings as a quarterback. You know what everyone remembers? The bobbled hold. January 6, 2007, Seattle, 19 yards. He actually tried to run it in after bobbling. Got tackled at the 2-yard line. Cowboys lose. 18 years later, every Cowboys playoff failure includes, remember when Romo couldn't even hold a kick? $127 million career, defined by 0.7 seconds. Some holders are punchers, already the most hated position in football. Now they have to hold too. Johnny Hecker, greatest puncher ever, also a holder. One bad hold in 2018, Rams lose to Saints. The headlines? Hacker costs Rams playoff position. Not greatest puncher has a bad hold, costs Rams playoff position. He's punted 1,000 times perfectly. One bad hold. That's his legacy in 2018. Kickers are psychologically fragile. They need constant reassurance. The holder becomes their therapist. Were the laces good? Did I place it right? Was the angle perfect? Justin Tucker, greatest kicker ever, made his holder practice 1,000 holds per week. 1,000! Sam Koch, the holder, backup punter, 1,000 holds per week for Tucker. Not for himself, for Tucker's mental health. That's not practice, that's psychiatric care. Buffalo, December, 30-mile-per-hour winds. The holder has to catch a frozen ball flying sideways, place it perfectly in 0.7 seconds, while his hands are numb. If the kick misses, holder didn't account for wind. Account for wind in 0.7 seconds, while freezing, with numb fingers. That's not holding, that's magic. And you're not a magician, you're a backup quarterback, making backup money to be blamed for physics. Holders practice after everyone leaves. After 3 hours of regular practice, then 2 hours of holding every day. No coaches watch, no teammates care, no cameras rolling. Just you, the kicker, and the long snapper. The NFL's loneliest threesome, practicing something nobody notices unless it fails. 500 holds a day. That's 2,500 per week, for maybe 100 that matter. Holders can't get hurt. Can't. You're the backup QB. If you're hurt, who's the emergency QB? But you're also the holder. If you're hurt, who holds? 2009 Steelers, their holder got concussed. They had to use their actual punter to hold. He never held before in a game. Missed 2 field goals. Lost by 3. 1 concussion destroyed their entire special teams. Super Bowl 43, Steelers versus Cardinals. Jeff Reed attempting a field goal. The hold by Mitch Berger, slightly tilted. Reed makes it anyway. Steelers win the Super Bowl. Berger's quote after was, "Nobody will remember the hold." He was right. Nobody remembers the successful holds. But if Reed had missed, Berger cost the Steelers Super Bowl. Forever. Holders make 0 extra money. 0! Backup QB salary $2 to $5 million. That's for 2 jobs. The kicker you're holding for, $3 to $5 million for 1 job. You do 50% of the work on every kick, you get 0% of the credit and 100% of the blame when it fails. That's not economics, that's exploitation. If you mess up as holder, they don't fire you from holding, they fire you from the team because you're replaceable. Any backup QB can hold, any punter can hold. You're not a specialist, you're an afterthought with a critical job. 1 bad hold, we're going in a different direction at backup quarterback. Not different holder, different quarterback. Your part-time job kills your full-time job. Quick, name a current NFL holder. Exactly. These guys touch the ball in the most critical moments. Game-winning kicks, playoff kicks, Super Bowl kicks. Nobody knows their names. Jake Bailey, Mac Jones, Tress Way. Those are 3 current holders. You've never heard of them. But if they mess up once, you'll never forget them. There's no such thing as a great hold. Only you can't exceed expectations. Only meet them or fail. 1,000 perfect holds? Expect it. 1 bad hold? Career defining. That's not a job. That's Russian roulette where the gun is always loaded. And you play every Sunday for backup money while someone else gets the glory. So here's why it sucks to be an NFL holder. You don't exist unless you fail. You practice 130,000 times for 100 moments. You get blamed for physics, wind, and geometry. You make no extra money for a job that can end your career. Your kicker makes millions to blame you. You have 0.7 seconds to be perfect. No stats, no recognition, no jersey sales. Just anonymous perfection or public humiliation. And Tony Romo makes $18 million at CBS, still defined by 1 bobbled hold. 18 years ago. That's the holder's life. Perfect or unemployed. Nothing in between. Think holders have it bad? Wait until you hear about the personal protector on punts.